you know, the Surrey County Council.
By vested interest, you mean?
Defence estates have got a legitimate interest to minimise the traffic impact, to get the number of houses as high as possible to get the most money out of it.
Yes.
Surrey County Council have got an obligation to the general public to provide transport. They should be commissioning independent people to work to their specifications, not calling the tune of the MOD.
I don't think, I mean, again, to be fair to Surrey Heath Borough Council, that if any developer came forward with proposals, I think that Surrey Heath Borough Council would scrutinise pretty closely exactly what the traffic estimates would be. And as David Whitcroft quite rightly pointed out earlier, if you're going to have 1,200 homes, then you are going to have 2,000 plus vehicles. That's just in the nature of Surrey. We know that there are more than 2 vehicles per dwelling in Surrey Heath at the moment. Exactly. So, by definition, you know, I don't blame Defence Estates for wanting, as the interested party, to try to make it as attractive as possible for any developer to take this site on. But I think it's important that there are 2 aspects to the process that we get right. Firstly, as a community, we've got to say we don't believe in our core strategy and in our supplementary planning document that development should be allowed to go ahead without the following guarantees. So they're there, so everyone knows before they put in a planning application what the rules are. And then secondly, our councillors should make it clear that no application will be accepted unless certain guarantees are there. I just wanted to touch on one other point which was made, which relates to making good existing problems. What Brian Townley talked about in terms of dealing with your own smoke. So far, the rules around what a developer can pay in order to get a development to go through have been quite tightly governed around the Section 106 laws. Understandably so, because going back 30 or 40 years to the Poulsen and T. Dan Smith scandals, people are naturally concerned that developers can't get their way by just putting a lot of cash on the table and then nobody quite knowing where that money goes. So quite tight rules have been drawn up about what a developer can offer in order to secure planning consent. But one of the things that we want to do is to give you, the community, the right to be able to say to a developer, show us the colour of your money. Before this development goes ahead, show us what you will do for us. Our core strategy might say that as a minimum, we'd expect the following. But actually, surprise us with your generosity. Show us that you will actually invest in improving transport, that you will actually have an appropriate approach. You will create, who knows, an endowment for the local community. Because the community has the right ultimately to say to any planning application, no, sorry, not impressed. Up to now, because central government has said Surrey Heath has got to have a set number of houses, ultimately the developer knows that they can always go to the planning inspector. The planning inspector can always say national strategy means you've got to have some houses, you have got to accept this deal. Now we can say no. Unless this deal suits us, you can't go ahead. And that means that this community is now ultimately capable of exercising a right of veto that it never had before. And it's a very powerful tool, and we should use it in order to ensure that no development goes ahead unless that developer is giving us what we believe we need.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Okay, I'd like to